Okay, so here's the deal. Disneyland has a lot going on for the rest of the year. We've got the Halloween vibes happening right now, and then they'll flip the switch at the end of October, and it's going to be all about the holidays. But today, we're going to talk about what's coming, the least crowded days for the rest of the year, and I'm going to tell you how you can figure out the least crowded park days for yourself. And a little heads up about ticket prices. You're definitely going to want to hear. We're going to talk about it because changes are coming. But let's start with Halloween time and crowd levels that we can expect during September and October. Halloween time is happening right now through October 31st, and it is one of my favorite times to be in the parks. Main Street is covered in pumpkins, and the food gets extra spooky and delicious. And I love the seasonal ride overlays. Haunted Mansion Holiday is so much fun, even though it's more Christmas than Halloween, but that's okay. Over in California Adventure, there's Cars Land that is amazing during Halloween time. And there's also Plaza de la Familia that is this little hidden gem during Halloween. The celebration of Dia de los Muertos runs through November 2nd, and it's gorgeous. I love the cocoa vibe and the amazing food and the fun, vibrant atmosphere. It's a must do. If you are planning a trip for Halloween time, then I've got a full guide to Disneyland during Halloween time, plus a printable foodie guide that you can use to check things off as you go along. So I'll put a link down in the description because you're going to want to print that off before your vacation. But let's talk about the least crowded days at Disneyland during Halloween time. In September, after Labor Day, crowds drop a lot. Midweek, especially Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, are some of your best bets. Now, specifically, September 16th, 17th, and 18th are predicted to be the lowest crowd days during the month of September. Now, for October, crowds continue to build for Halloween. Weekends, especially Fridays and Saturdays, are busier. But if you go on a weekday, especially in the first half of October, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those are some of the lowest crowd days of the season. Now, the last half of the month is busy. Almost every day leading into Halloween gets busier and busier. But that being said, Halloween Day is usually really quiet because Halloween is a holiday that people like to keep their kids home for. So least crowded days in October are the 1st, 2nd, 14th, 16th, 21st, 23rd, 30th, and 31st. Now, as soon as Halloween ends, then Disneyland will start prepping for the holidays. Actually, the holiday decorations are going to start going up in October before Halloween even ends. You're going to start to notice snow on the castle and little things like that before Halloween has even come to a close. The official dates for the holidays at the Disneyland Resort are November 14th through January 6th, 2026. Now, the holidays are seriously so magical. Giant Christmas trees, lights everywhere, a Christmas fantasy parade, the Believe in Holiday Magic fireworks, ride overlays. Like, it's a small world holiday. That is my favorite. It is so much fun. It's the best. And don't even get me started on the food. I am hoping they bring back the ginger cookies to Harbor Galley this year because I am obsessed with them. Last year they were amazing, but Disney does not mess around when it comes to holiday treats. They usually have some amazing things. But if you're headed to the parks during this time of year, then I also have a full holiday guide. And I will also have a free printable foodie guide for the holidays as soon as that info drops. And I'll put it together so that you can plan what to eat and what not to miss. I'll put a link for the holiday guide down in the description right now. Let's talk about crowd levels for the holidays. In November, the first 2 weeks of November are golden. Halloween's done. The holidays haven't kicked off yet. And so that's where you're going to find lighter crowds. Midweek is still best, but crowds are light the first 2 weeks. Then Thanksgiving week hits and it gets more crowded. Now, I've spent Thanksgiving Day at Disneyland before and I really enjoyed it. I didn't feel like it was crazy crowded or awful. I enjoyed it so much that I actually have plans to go back for Thanksgiving in a couple of years. So if you're visiting on Thanksgiving, then it's going to be busy. I'm not saying it's not going to be busy, but it's not going to be as busy as the week between Christmas and New Year's. Now, the least crowded days for November are November 3rd through the 6th, the 10th through the 13th, and the 18th and 19th. Now we roll into December, and early December weekdays, especially the first and second week, are your sweet spot because after that, once school is out and mid December hits, then those crowds climb fast. The week between Christmas and New Year's is like the busiest time of year, and it gets crazy. So for the least crowded days in December, the 2nd, 3rd, and 8th are your best bet. Now, once you get past New Year's, then crowds do start to ease up because school's back in session, holiday vacations are over, and the parks calm down quite a bit. It's really nice. You'll still see holiday decorations up until January 6th, but you have way more breathing room in the parks. But if you want some of the lowest crowds of the entire year, going right after the holidays end is your best bet. Lowest crowd days for January are the 6th through the 8th, the 12th through the 15th, the 20th through the 22nd, and the 26th and 27th. Now, let's be real, even on so called lower crowd days, Disneyland isn't empty anymore. Every time I bring this up, I'll get messages like, there's no such thing as low crowd days anymore, or Disneyland's always packed these days. Why are you talking about this? And honestly, they're not wrong. The parks are definitely busier now than they used to be. But here's the thing, there's a big difference between a day that's just busy and a day that's completely out of control, crowded. And my goal in talking about crowd patterns and making my crowd calendars isn't to promise you an empty park because that's never going to happen, but it's to help you avoid those crazy peak days where you can barely move and everything in the park has a 2-hour wait. I don't want you to be there on a day like that. There are still times that are lighter compared to those insane days, and that's what I want to help you find. Because when you can predict the heavier versus the lighter days, then you can plan smarter, you can pace yourself, and you can actually enjoy your trip instead of feeling crazy overwhelmed. So let's break it down. What drives crowds and what can you realistically expect on lower crowd days? And let's talk about a few simple strategies that will save you a ton of stress. First off, if you've been around for a while, then you know I make a Disneyland guide for every single month of the year. And it breaks down all the important things like crowd calendars and what to expect, and events and ride closures and weather and all kinds of things. So I'm going to put my link for those in the description so you can pull up the month that you're planning for because it's going to be really helpful. Now, a lot of people ask me, why is Disneyland so crowded on some days but not on others? And it usually comes down to three things. The first thing is school schedules, because when kids are out of school, then families flock to the parks because Disney is a popular vacation. That's why fall breaks, spring breaks, Thanksgiving, and Christmas are always going to be packed. There's also holidays and weekends, especially long weekends like Labor Day or Veterans Day. Those just tend to bring in more people. There's also special events like Oogie Boogie Bash or Lunar New Year or parade launches or holiday event kickoffs or big entertainment offerings. Those are always going to draw bigger crowds. There's also the locals because they keep the parks busy. Unlike Disney World, most of Disneyland's guests are locals that live near the area. So even when there's not big holidays or school breaks, then the locals like to visit and that keeps the park busy. But they do tend to visit more heavily on the weekends, especially Friday nights and Saturdays and in the afternoons. So this makes getting to the parks earlier in the day for rope drop especially all the more valuable because the majority of the locals don't show up until later in the day, meaning you're going to have lower crowds for the first half of the day almost always. So when you're planning, keep those things in mind. You can also spot low crowd days right on Disneyland's website. Now, I don't recommend buying tickets from Disneyland because you'll pay more than you would if you bought them through my travel partners at Getaway Today. And it just kills me when you pay full price. Please don't pay full price for your ticket. But you can use the Disneyland website to figure out how crowded it's likely to be when you're visiting. So Disneyland prices their tickets in tiers. The lower the price for a one-day ticket, then the lower the demand for that day, which usually means Disneyland expects lower crowds. So lower one-day ticket prices usually line up with lower crowds, and higher one-day ticket prices usually mean those are peak days. Now, it's not a perfect system for predicting crowds, but it is a really good indicator. If you want even more help planning, then I've got more than just crowd calendars. I've got monthly guides for each month of the year and even touring plans so that you can use them to maximize your time. It lists out for you step by step how to do the ride so that you can save time waiting in line. I'll link all of that down in the description so you're completely covered. Now, here's the part I don't want you to miss, but I also don't like saying it out loud. It makes me feel sad. But Disneyland always raises ticket prices in the fall, and this year is no exception. Last year it was October 9th, but honestly, it could happen any day now. I'm thinking it will happen in the next couple of weeks. So if you are thinking about a trip for Halloween or the holidays or anytime in 2026, then grab your tickets now while they are at the lowest price because once prices go up, they are not coming back down. I always use my friends at Getaway Today because they've got the best deals on tickets and hotel packages. Plus, if you book now, then you lock in today's lower rate. So even when Disney raises ticket prices, if that happened tomorrow and you bought your tickets today, you're going to get the lower price. So I'll drop my link down below, or you can give them a call at 855 Getaway and tell them Mix and Some Magic sent you for the best rates. So yeah, whether you're all about spooky Halloween vibes or you're waiting for the cozy holiday magic or you want to do both, there's still plenty of time to make a Disneyland trip happen this year, but I want you to get the lower rate. So let me know in the comments, are you team Halloween or team holidays? Oh, that's so tricky. I'm always team Halloween till the holidays start and then I switch teams over to holiday. But don't forget to grab those tickets before the price hike comes. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a Mix and Some Magic podcast listener. All right, you are the very best. For all of my Patreon members, I will be back next week with something new, and I'm really excited about next week's episode. For everyone else, I will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk soon.